So we have a question today from a viewer on our channel about permaculture and other natural and holistic ways of managing land. And this particular video is about a bamboo walk where I'm going through a property and explaining that if you want to kill the bamboo without herbicides or pesticides or chemicals, that you can simply cut the bamboo off at waist high, strip it of all of its branches, and ultimately it will die on its own. Now, the uh, the comment says that they have had success cutting bamboo off near the ground and then applying crossbow herbicide at full strength, and then of course capping off the stump with some kind of sandwich bag. So when I'm removing bamboo, bamboo could be about this thick or as thick as a Coke bottle. It could be small and narrow bamboo. But the point I made is that we're doing this without any herbicides. Now, I learned this method from an older Chinese gentleman who explained to me that bamboo is not a problem if, one, you eat it, or two, you know how to properly manage it. So what I was doing is conveying the method in which we were taught. So you can dig the root up and all the rhizome, and that's a lot of physical labor. Or by cutting off the bamboo at about waist high and removing all of its branches. Now you're going to do this as it's storing up nutrients in the root system, so towards the fall, or you're going to do this in early spring. But what happens here is you've removed the ability for the plant to do photosynthesis. And because the plant cannot do photosynthesis, it will have to use the starches and the nutrients from the rhizome system. So it's actually drawing back nutrients from the rhizomes rather than using those nutrients to spread, and then you end up with an entire kill. See, bamboo is not the type of plant that you can coppice. And even though it can sprout from its nodes, if you are cutting it off and then knocking off those nodes as they come in, the plant will basically starve to death. So it's a similar effect as using crossbow or something like that, but we're not poisoning the soil. We're not poisoning the plant itself. We're essentially starving it to death, which is probably a slower and more painful death than poisoning, but ultimately it doesn't contaminate the soil or have a crossover. So in the naturalist program that I'm in here in Virginia, we do talk about using herbicides to control non-native and invasive species. My argument is that for every herbicidal application, there's a natural method of an approach to handle the plant. So bamboo being a grass, you can starve it of nutrients on the soil by adding wood chips around the base of the plant. You can also pull up the root systems, the rhizomes, by removing. So you put wood chips around the plant, and then you remove the wood chips after the soil's been all loosened up, and that exposes the rhizomes because bamboo will only put its roots down about 6 to 8 inches, and then you can just pull them out. But the case of where you're cutting it off at the ground, it makes it harder to pull out because there isn't like a handle. So if you cut it off at hip high, whatever your hip high is, and then you strip it of its branches, as it dies, it'll turn a yellow or it'll turn a brown, and then you actually have like a handle to grab on and just pull the thing out of the ground because all of its finer roots have withdrawn. It stopped expanding. And then so you may want to use this in combination of other things. For a particular bamboo removal, and I'll try to include links in the description, we actually just layered wood chips and mulch, probably 6 to 8 inches, and that caused the bamboo to start pushing upwards. So as it pushed its new sprouts up, it didn't get daylight, so it never activated the chemicals that transitioned from a sprout to a root or a green stalk, and so it basically gave us big long shoots, and that's the eating part. So these big long shoots could be easily cut out with a mallet, and we would eat the shoots, and then as we're cutting out the shoots, we'd pull out the rhizome. And so, you can poison it and it will go fast. You have risk of animal kill. You have risk of groundwater contamination. Or you can simply manage the bamboo in a holistic manner, which includes how you're cutting it, when you're cutting it, and then ultimately the harvest cycles that keep the bamboo under check. Now, I would never plant bamboo on purpose. I would always focus to a clumping type of bamboo that has a high utility value, such as the moso bamboo. So if I was going to plant bamboo, I would choose a clumping variety in an area where we need erosion control, or an area that would benefit from the shelter, but then ultimately I would harvest it for timber I would harvest it for other things. So cutting it off at waist high leaves the rest of the top of the plant for you to use, make a flute, make artwork, use it for a trellis. But then the lower part of the plant, which has the tendency to resprout, has remained in place to basically bleed out. That's kind of what we're doing. So again, cutting it waist high gives you a handle. It also gives you a use, once you've taken the bamboo out and it's completely dried out, it gives you a useful tool around the farm. My kid likes to just whack stuff with it, but I've used them for, actually that lower section on the larger bamboo is used for a Japanese flute. But essentially, the growth dies back. It uses all the sugars and starches from the root system to maintain itself rather than to spread. And then it ultimately makes it easier to pull out of the ground so that you can get the full root set. So again, I don't recommend cutting bamboo off at the ground. I don't recommend going through the hard labor of digging it up unless you've prepared the site accordingly and use this method of cutting off bamboo waist high and starving it of nutrients. And that way it's a little bit more manageable. And by the way, the whole clump of bamboo isn't damaged. When you use the herbicide, you have the potential to damage the whole clump. In my case, I don't want to kill all the bamboo. I just want to utilize the poles and stakes. I want to benefit from the bamboo shoots that are very tasty and good to eat. Can't eat them raw, but they're very good to eat. And I want to maintain a space that's usable in the future. So I want grass to grow there. I want competitive species to grow there. That way the bamboo will stay under check in a natural, balanced ecosystem. So I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I'm glad I was able to answer your question. I'll answer the question on the YouTube channel as well, linking to this video. If you have an interest in getting a maximum value out of your land, and the holistic use from the land, I borrow methods from around the world and apply them here in the mid-Atlantic region of Virginia, in the state of Virginia, and we get incredible results. It turns out the herbicides, the pesticides, the chemicals are not necessary. There are plants that will fertilize your garden. There are methods of managing your trees, plants, even invasives, in order to gain abundance. So rather than just killing stuff, we are able to manage things over time so that the quality of the ecosystem is helping us with the retention or the control of the species. Now, again, I recommend native plants for your region and not to bring in any invasives. But there are cases where things spread or you may already have land, and that's the value of what we have here. Be sure you like and subscribe and visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org, where we have a newsletter that has other free resources that can help you get the most from your land. So again, I'm Justin Hitt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.